Hey everybody, this is Dave Dugdale, learningdslrvideo.com. This is my final review on the Nebula 4000 Lite made by Film Power. Alright, I don't want to spread any sort of misinformation about this device, and I want to tell you right up front, I am not an expert at 3-axis brushless gimbals at all whatsoever, so anything I'm about to say might be totally wrong. So first off the bat, I want to talk about the glide cam because I own a glide cam type device, and a lot of people might be asking, why don't you just stick with the glide cam? It has a very organic feel. Well, I don't care what kind of feel it has, if it's organic or not. If I'm getting really shaky shots on my roll axis with a glide cam, which I suck at, and I do get that kind of shakiness, I don't care what kind of feel it has. I just want one that's nice and steady on the roll axis, and this device definitely gives it to me. So I think this small gimbal is right up there for 2014 as one of the most important pieces of kit out there, at least for me. You know, I think it's right up there with the A7S, the GH4, and especially when you put those in combination with the Nebula 4000 Lite, it becomes a very powerful tool in a very small footprint. So as far as I know, there's really no competition for this device because it's so small, so compact, so lightweight, you can carry it on your shoulder on an R-strap and let it dangle off to your side. I don't think anybody else has something like this that has 3 axes, the roll, the tilt, and the yaw motor. I wonder how long it's going to take other companies like Freefly that make the Movi or DJI to like wake up and smell the coffee that there's a huge market for these really tiny devices. The only other product that I know that is somewhat similar is made by Big Balance, and it only has 2 axes, not 3. So right off the bat, I want to tell you I can't test every single camera and every camera lens combination out there, but I did test the A7S with 1 lens and the GH4 with multiple lenses. So let's start off with the things I love about this thing. And the first is I can move the camera so easily in such a small footprint. The thing is so tiny. The unit itself only weighs 800 grams. I took it with me when I went sledding with my girls, and I could actually run after them as they're going down the hill and get these moves I would never be able to get on my glide cam type device. It just wouldn't happen. I would have terrible footage. Again, I am terrible with the glide cam, but with this device, I feel like I'm a professional. This thing is so small to travel with. It's excellent. Only weighs 800 grams. The DJI Rowan weighs 4,200 grams. Or put things in perspective, like a monopod that I would use a lot, that this can almost kind of replace, weighs 2,100 grams. This thing is so light, I can hold it in one arm for as long as the Sony A7S battery will last me. And then when I get tired, I could just put it off to my side and let it dangle off of my Black Rapid R-strap. Lighter is always better. I will use it more because I can hold it longer and I get more shots. The more shots I get, the better I'm going to do. If I was using a DJI Rowan or a Movi, my back would be killing me. I'd have to put it down after maybe 5 minutes, but this thing is just fantastic. I can hold it so much longer, and when my one arm gets tired, I could just move it over to the other arm. I was in and out of shops in Estes Park, going in and out, and no shop owners came up to me and said, "What is that device? You can't film in here." Because I guarantee if I walked in with a big old, handlebar grip type device like a Movi or a Rowan that's just huge and has this thing flying around, they'd be like, "What is that? You need to get out of my store. I don't want you filming in my store." So it's a great advantage be able to just tuck it off to your side and just let it dangle off of an R-strap. So I personally think this thing is a really good deal. It's coming in around $700. The amount of metal work that's in here, the circuit boards, the motors, the amount of engineering that went in to create this thing. I mean, if you compare it to like a normal glide cam, I think HT2000, which comes in around $500, this is only a couple $100 more, and the learning curve on this is so much lower. I could give this to my wife, and she could get steady shots right off the bat. Compared to giving my wife a glide cam type device, she would be all over the place and would have terrible footage. All right, next up, let's talk about the construction. My brother-in-law, who owns a machine shop, is just absolutely brilliant when it comes to all things metal. He took a look at it and looked at the extruded metal and the things that they were doing that I didn't quite understand, and he basically said they did a really nice job with it. So one of the great things about this unit is it's so lightweight, which means you can carry it for a very long period of time. And the one thing that was not so much fatiguing in terms of my arm holding it, but actually the grip itself was a little bit too sharp. If we could add a little bit of maybe some lightweight foam around, especially where your fingers go, or back here at the heel of your hand, that would definitely go a long way to maybe even hold it even longer. So one of the things I was doing a lot was testing this with the software, and I was getting a lot of vibrations or pushing it to where it would vibrate a lot. And one of the things that happened was the gyro sensor at the bottom of the unit, one of the screws fell off and I had to screw it back in. So maybe if they can put some sort of stuff in there with that screw so it doesn't vibrate out again, that would be a good idea. Next up, let's talk about the battery. It has a battery basically built into the grip, which it works out just great because you need to have something to grab onto anyway. It's a brilliant way to put the battery right inside of there. So a lot of people have asked me, is it replaceable? Sort of. If you know how to solder, you can definitely replace it. Ken Asano, I believe his name, he's from Japan. I've been kind of talking with him back and forth, and he is way ahead of me in terms of all this stuff. He knows how to fly movies and Rowans, and he's tried just about everything. The guy is utterly incredible. He can run with the Nebula 4000 Lite and get silky smooth action. He has a kind of a solution for the battery where he's actually gone and modified it actually quite a bit. He actually has taken some of the leads off of there so you could attach another battery quite simply if you wanted increased battery time. But to be honest with you, the A7S battery will die way before the battery inside this unit will. In fact, I don't even know how long it lasts because I never had an issue with it. And I was a lot of times out in the very cold weather, like -2 degrees Fahrenheit, and it would just keep going. So next up, I just want to run through some miscellaneous notes of things that I've learned about using this device. It's just in general. One of the things is you can't trust the very small screen on the GH4 or the A7S to determine if you've got shaky footage or not. Because sometimes if you don't have the PID settings or the power settings set correctly, you can get some vibrations in the roll axis or the yaw axis or the tilt axis, and you really can't see that on a small screen. You pretty much have to watch it on a big monitor at its native resolution. So if you're shooting, let's say 1080, you have to watch it at its native 1080 resolution to be able to find those bumps and jolts and stuff like that. On smaller screens, even like an iPhone, you won't be able to see that. So you can save profiles in the camera to the software, and then you can actually share them. And I'll be sharing some later from Dan Chung, Ken Asano, and myself. Actually, I'll be sharing some of the files that I've created. But just one warning, I don't think the units themselves are that different, but if your camera is not perfectly balanced right, or let's say you're using a different combination of body and lens that somebody else is using, but even to go even farther, one warning that I'll give you is sometimes when they build the Nebula Lite, they might reverse the polarity of a motor, let's say, and so you have to go through and make sure that your polarity is similar to the person that you're copying it from. So let's say their motor on the roll axis is inverted where yours is not, the way they wired it. Well, you're going to get much different results if they're different in terms of wiring. So like I said, I'm very new to moving the camera because I kind of gave up using my glide cam years ago. It was just really hard to use. But now I'm kind of relearning some of that stuff, how to move from one subject to another and what things work really well. One of the easiest things to do with this device right off the bat is hold the camera extremely steady. It looks like even better. It almost looks like you're on a tripod. It looks better than a monopod shot because you can hold it so darn steady. The other thing is, in terms of panning, you can do really silky smooth pans with this thing. Fantastic. Other things that take a bit more practice that I'm still getting better at is when you have a foreground object and you're trying to do a slider move around it. If that object is really, really close, you're going to see the imperfections of you going up and down. So you want to pull maybe back a little bit. And again, I am not an expert at this. I've got a lot to learn, but you can do a lot of great moves with it. Some things that I'm not good at yet are doing crane up and crane down shots and not doing this type of action along with it. Again, if you have something in the foreground that's going to give away all those imperfections, try to maybe back up a little bit or eliminate the foreground object to get that nice crane movement. So I got a lot of moves wrong, but I kept using it over and over again, and I would find moves that I did really well by accident. I'm like, whoa, I really like that. I'll have to repeat that and make a mental note of it to try that next time. So I want to talk about the company Film Power, because I had really never heard of this company before. And when I went to check the website, because I was actually thinking about buying it at first, and again, I contacted them. I said, can I have a review unit? And they were like, sure, we'll give you one. Because I was looking at their website and things didn't quite make sense, because it says they're out of San Francisco. I looked at their phone number, which is 123456789. That didn't seem very good. I actually tried to call it. It didn't dawn on me until I dialed it. It was like, this number is no longer in service. I'm like, 123456789. That doesn't make any sense. So my confidence level in the company went way down. But after I've been talking to them and they've helped me out with a few technical issues, they're definitely a company. They've definitely been around, I guess, at least for a few years. I don't know, because I know, some people have covered them at NEB before in the past. But just as a company, yeah, they definitely are there. And if if you're afraid that they're going to take your money or something, I don't think you have to, because so from what I've heard other people's experience, they've got the product. I guess it's free shipping, comes on time, and comes actually all the way from Hong Kong. All right, so if you're interested in this device, you might be asking yourself, well, what lenses will work good with my A7S or my GH4? Right off the bat, it has a 1,000 gram payload, so you want to be below that number. You want to be like 800 or 600, something in that area with the combined lens body combination. So I tried a whole bunch of different lenses. I tried the Olympus 12mm 2.8 lens. I tried the Panasonic 14mm 2.5 lens. I tried the 9 to 18mm 4.5 to 5.6, and also tried the Voigtlander 20mm 3.5 lens on the A7S. And I'll tell you right now, that lens is, I wouldn't suggest buying it. It's nice and light, and you have to use it with like a Canon EF to FE Metabones adapter, but I would suggest staying away from it because it's really soft in the center at like f3.5, and it has this in the corners just about all the way from 3.5 f8 all the way up to f22 in the corners. Looks really smeary. So I would just suggest staying away from that lens altogether. So unfortunately, Sony has a very limited lens selection for the FE mount on the A7S. There's a lot of different varieties you can do on the GH4, and probably one of my favorites so far is the 9 to 18 because it's so small and light, and when you zoom in and out from 9 to 18, you don't really have to rebalance the camera on the Nebula 4000 because the lens is so darn light, it doesn't make that much of a difference, and it's not going to burn out your motors or drain the battery life on the Nebula 4000. So I think that's a great choice for right now. There's some newer Olympus lens that's coming out, the 7 to 14 2.8. I'm sure it's going to be awfully pricey, like maybe $1,800, but definitely check out that one. It's actually on B&H. They just haven't released the price or the release date yet. So some other people to definitely follow that have the A7S that use different lens combinations, because I've only used the Voigtlander. Again, didn't have a very good experience with it. So some other people that want to look at would definitely be like Eric Naso, because he has an A7S. He's been using different lenses. Michael Schmidt, Jason Wingrove, Matthew Pierce, and Dan Chung from newsshooter.com, I believe. So I'll have all those links at the bottom of my blog post. Definitely go follow those guys because I think they have much better suggestions for the A7S for lenses. The GH4, right now, my favorite is the 9 to 18. But like I said before, Olympus is coming out with that new 7 to 14, which might work really well on the Nebula 4000 Lite. All right, next up I want to talk about things that I don't like about the Nebula and why I'm not going to buy it right now. And you're going to say, well, wait a minute, I thought you loved it. Why aren't you going to buy it right now? And this is a very difficult decision for me because I'm always very nervous, scared, whatever, right? Trying to buy something between now, like Christmas, and NEB, which is in April. That kind of period, you almost shouldn't buy anything because come NEB, whatever you bought in the early part of the year, they're going to come out with something even better at a lower price, and you'll be like killing yourself, like, oh, I should have waited. So I'm actually going to wait. I actually have a corporate video next month, so I might actually borrow something, either the Nebula again, or maybe do a review on something different like the Birdie Cam or something, one of those other, or M over at Cheesy Cam. He's developing a a very small, compact, but unfortunately it's got handlebars on it, and I'd rather it be more of a pistol grip, but M's got something coming up next month. Maybe I'll actually be able to look at that one as well. So I'm actually not going to purchase this yet. If nothing comes out of NEB, I'll definitely go pick one up, but for right now, I'm kind of scared to buy anything between now and NEB. So one of the problems this unit has is the range of motion. And like I was talking about, M's developing a new one that has complete range of motion. With this one, the GH4 and the A7S, the way I've mounted it, it will actually hit the back of the unit, so you don't get that full range of motion you would with another type of brushless gimbal. So Eric Naso, who I've mentioned before, had problems with his unit. The battery would die after 2 minutes and some other issues. And somebody from Twitter contacted me and said that their unit wasn't working as well and they were having problems with tech support, even getting contact with them. And do you ship it back to Hong Kong? I don't know the answers to any of these questions. Actually, in terms of Eric Naso, I sent him my review unit, and so he has it now. So hopefully he'll have better luck. He's actually doing some news coverage with the device, I think, over the next couple of days. So definitely check out his blog to see what he's going to develop with it. Next, I want to talk about inverted mode. I couldn't get it to work very well. I know Jason Wingrove, who I've been talking with, he's had good success with it. I just couldn't really get it to work that well. Again, I don't want to spread any sort of misinformation, and it might be the lack of experience that I have with the software and putting like the yaw motor in inverted mode or changing any sort of the settings. I have no idea, but I just didn't have that much success, and I wanted to get some really nice low to the ground type of movement, which I just couldn't get. Another thing I don't like about this unit is not toolless. You need a wrench to be able to tighten the screws for the roll motor, the pitch motor, and in terms of the yaw motor, you have to take off 6 screws altogether and move the sled in either direction, and you only have 3 choices. So in terms of fine tuning and being able to do things out in the field, I don't like that it requires a tool. Again, M over at Cheesy Cam is developing something that doesn't require any tools whatsoever, so I might want to definitely check that out as well. So one item of warning, if you're going to get this device, it's going to take some frustration basically to pass through in terms of setting it up and getting it balanced. You can go back and watch my older video and watch how it took me like an hour to basically balance. But now I can do it like 5 or 10 minutes depending if I have to move the sled or not. So that takes a lot of time. And then in terms of the software, that's going to take an investment in time as well to get it really nice and fine-tuned for your particular unit and your lens body combination, because you want to eliminate that kind of stepping motion. And to do that, it takes a lot of reiteration of the software, trying it, going out, testing, constantly doing that cycle over and over again until you get some nice silky smooth motion. So definitely check out Ken Asano's website. It's all Japan or Japanese. You're going to have to hit the translate button like in Google Chrome to translate to English, but he's got a lot of great information on there. He's actually going into the process of removing the board, I believe, and replacing it with a 32-bit board inside the Nebula 4000 Lite, so you have even finer tuned control. But if you watch some of his videos, they're just fantastic. The guy runs with this thing. I don't know if he gets his daily workout and he just runs with it around Japan, Tokyo, or whatever, and he gets silky smooth action. I've had other people look at it and like, isn't he warp stabilizing it? He's like, no. I've asked him. He goes, no, I'm not providing any sort of post stabilization. All right, one other thing I want to talk about is calibration of the software. I found a really good video. I've looked at a lot of them, but this one to me made the most sense, and the process that he did to actually set up the gimbal, basically he strips all the settings away and rebuilds them one piece at a time and shows you why. And I took a whole bunch of notes on his video. He didn't really say his name, so I can't even say his name, but I'll have a link in my blog post and actually have a whole bunch of the procedure of what he did, because I just wrote it out as I was watching the video and I took notes. So the next time I have a gimbal, it doesn't even matter what type of gimbal, it's still using that same software, that same methodology of going through and like doing the dampening first, or the D, and then going to the P, and then going to the I, and then changing the power, and or actually doing the power first, and all that stuff. So definitely check that out on my blog post. There's going to be a lot of great stuff in there. Again, check out Eric Naso's channel, Michael Schmidt, Jason Wingrove, Matt Pierce, Dan Chung, all the other people that are currently enjoying this device, because I think it's an awesome device. I wish I could buy it right now, but I just have this nagging feeling that something else is going to come out of NEB, and I wish some of these other companies would wake up and take a look at this very small device and say, my gosh, we need to develop something like this too, because you can just take it everywhere. And like I said, going into a store or something like that, nobody's going to bother you. But if you have a big, handlebar grip like this going on and things weighing you down, you got to set it down somewhere. Where do you set it down? Where do you set a movie down without a movie stand? This thing, you just tie it to your R-strap, or, not tie it, but screw it in and just let it dangle off to your side. I mean, for a small run and gun, lightweight, stealth shooting, you really can't beat this thing. All right, that's pretty much it. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.